How you take money out in retirement matters. The order in which you draw from your accounts can determine whether you pay higher taxes, whether you're hit with Medicare IRMAA surcharges, or just unnecessary costs. In fact, how you take this money out, which accounts you draw from first, can quietly cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional taxes if done the wrong way. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to walk you through a real case study step by step. I love using real case studies because I feel like we learn the best when we walk through a real example and the decisions behind why we're doing something within an example. We're going to look at exactly what I would do and why for a 55-year-old retiree who has a military pension, a large Roth account, and a large traditional account. If you're anywhere near retirement, this might change how you think about money, or at the very least, bring some clarity to the decisions you're facing right now. So let's define the situation. I recently received a comment that said this: I'm 55, retired military, currently have $750,000 in a Roth account and $800,000 in a traditional account. Which one should I pull from first when I start pulling money? Now, from this comment, there are a couple things we know for sure, but there's also a few things that are kind of left in a bit of a gray area. So there are some assumptions that I'm going to have to make if we want to develop a complete withdrawal strategy. So I'll be clear on which assumptions I'm making. We'll say this retiree is 55 years old, that they're single, as there's no mention of a spouse or a partner, and retired military. Now, this individual didn't explicitly say they have a military pension, but since they brought up that they were retired military, thank you for your service, by the way, I will assume that they have a pension, and I'm going to assume that that pension is about $50,000 a year. They also say they have $750,000 in a Roth account and $800,000 in a traditional account. Now, let me take a moment and explain why I'm assuming $50,000 a year as a pension. For our retired military personnel, the average pension ranges from about $30,000 a year to $70,000 a year. Officers tend to be on the higher end of that. Enlisted personnel tend to be on the lower end of that. So I'm just splitting the difference, going right in the middle. It does depend on which retirement system you are a part of, but this is a general range for retired military members with 20 years of service. Now, I want to be very clear about this. I think this individual is in a wonderful position. I love that they have a very hefty Roth balance and a very hefty traditional balance. This gives you great options going into retirement, but it also comes with its own set of challenges. Namely, how do you take this money out without letting taxes quietly eat away at it over time? Our goal in retirement is simple and very clear. We want a withdrawal strategy that gives us the most control. Control over our taxes, control over our timing, control over our income, and not just this year, but 10 years from now and 30 years from now and beyond. In retirement, control is everything. When you're looking at your money and when you're looking at your portfolio, one of the best questions you can ask yourself is, what decisions can I make today that will ultimately give me the greatest control down the road? That $50,000 pension is incredibly valuable, but it fundamentally changes the tax picture. Military pensions are generally taxable as ordinary income at the federal level. When it comes to the state level, there may be partial or full exemptions, but this really depends on where you live. And if any portion of your military pension comes from VA disability benefits, that is not taxable. For this case, we're going to assume that this full pension is taxable as ordinary income. This is really the simplest and cleanest way to illustrate the planning decision. Here's why the pension matters so much. It creates a permanent income floor. It uses up the lowest tax brackets every single year, and that means you'll never have a zero income year again. So even before withdrawing anything from a traditional retirement account, this retiree is already paying taxes. They're already in that 12% bracket. So anything they end up withdrawing from that traditional account ends up stacking right on top of that pension income for tax purposes. And a military pension begins the moment you separate from service and continues for life. That's what makes this this pension so incredibly valuable, but it also makes tax planning more important than ever. Step 2, we want to make sure we protect the Roth. This is where a lot of people make a mistake. They see the Roth, they ultimately know it's tax-free, and they think, great, I'll spend my Roth first. This kind of thinking is backwards. The Roth is the most incredibly valuable account that you have, not because of what you can spend now, but because of how powerful it can be later. Remember, Roth money has no required minimum distributions. Ever. There are no federal taxes. There is no impact on Medicare premiums. It gives you maximum flexibility later in life. And if legacy planning is important to you, the Roth again shines because your heirs get to inherit this money completely tax-free. That's what makes the Roth so valuable. And that's why we want to resist touching the Roth first. We want to hold on to our Roth dollars as long as possible. The Roth is kind of like your pressure release valve in your 70s or your 80s, when taxes, Medicare premiums, and Social Security all start colliding together. And once you spend Roth money, you can't get it back. That's why holding on to it gives you more control later. Ideally, we want to use our traditional account first. The goal is to smooth taxes over your entire lifetime. Here's how you want to think about it. You want to be crystal clear about where the tax brackets are, where the 12% bracket is, where the 22% bracket is. We're not saying that you want to stay in the 12% bracket forever. 12% is great and 22% is fine too, but you need to know where these limits are so you can control your income. Remember that pension counts as ordinary income. Any withdrawal or conversion from your traditional account, that counts as ordinary income. They all stack together. So from here, the strategy is to withdraw and or convert only what makes sense given those brackets and where you fall in them. And this is where the size of those account balances really matters. Remember, this individual has $750,000 in a Roth and $800,000 in a traditional. These are very robust balances and they're only going to grow. Growth inside of a Roth, that's not really a concern, but growth inside of a traditional account, that absolutely can be. If that $800,000 traditional account is left completely untouched and earns an 8% annual return, in 10 years, it could grow to over $1.7 million. And this individual would only be 65 years old. RMDs haven't even started yet. Fast forward 20 years, again, assuming no additional contributions and an 8% rate of return, that same account could grow to about $3.7 million by the age of 75. At that point, RMDs would be required. The first required minimum distribution, or RMD, at age 75 on a $3.7 million balance would be over $150,000. And remember, we have multiple income streams and they're all going to stack together here for taxable purposes. We'd have our pension, we'd have Social Security, and then we would have our draws from our traditional account. And this is exactly why we want to use our traditional bucket first to prevent that outcome down the road. And this is exactly why we want to take action now, because our goal is to prevent massive forced distributions later. So by tapping the traditional bucket first, you pay known manageable taxes today. You avoid forced higher withdrawals later, and you reduce your future RMDs before they become a problem. And this is really what you're doing when you're being proactive with your tax planning. Remember, our retiree is currently age 55, so here penalties may matter. In the vast majority of cases, you cannot access traditional retirement accounts before the age of 59 and a half without paying early withdrawal penalties. That rule alone really shapes early retirement strategy. But there are a few key details that we don't know about this retiree's situation. Yes, we know they're retired military, but we don't know if they're currently working. We don't know if the money in a traditional account is sitting in an IRA or a 401k or a TSP. We don't know if it's with a current employer or a former employer, and all of these things really matter. If our retiree wants early access to their traditional funds, here's where the rule of 55 could help. If the individual is still working, if they have a traditional balance in a 401k with their current employer, if they separate from service in the year they turn 55 or later, and they need access to those funds to support their early retirement. And important to note here, the rule of 55 does apply to a traditional TSP plan if this worker still happens to be with the federal government. This can be really helpful for accessing these funds if this retiree wants to retire early and they need additional income to supplement their pension. But it's very important to understand what the rule of 55 does and what it doesn't do. Yes, it removes that 10% early withdrawal penalty prior to the age of 59 and a half, but it does not remove taxes. So any withdrawals this retiree would make from this account would still be taxable as ordinary income and stack right on top of their pension. So again, if this individual wants to be an early retiree and they want to supplement their pension income, this can be a great option if the rule of 55 applies in their situation, but tax planning still matters. It's important to remember where the rule of 55 is not helpful. It does not help if the traditional account is an IRA, if the 401k or the TSP is from a former employer that this employee left prior to the age of 55, or the money has already been rolled over into an IRA, or they just don't need this income yet. If this individual doesn't yet need money from their traditional account, let's say their pension covers the vast majority of their spending, there's no need to rush to make draws from this account. I like to say just because you can doesn't mean you should. The rule of 55 can be helpful if this individual needs to supplement their spending, but you don't have to go and take money from this account. You still want to make sure that any choice you make aligns with your goals. Another way people hear about accessing traditional accounts early is the rule of 72T, also known as substantially equal periodic payments. I don't think the rule of 72T is ideal in this situation. Here's why. This locks you into a fixed withdrawal strategy. This kind of works against having control and having flexibility with your withdrawals. And if you make a mistake, the penalties can be severe and retroactive. So for someone with a pension and with very large balances and time, I don't think locking yourself into a fixed withdrawal strategy is the best approach. I think a far better approach is to maintain your flexibility. So here's the real takeaway. Yes, the mechanics absolutely matter. Where this money lives, is it in an IRA or 401k, and whether penalty-free access applies. But it doesn't change the strategy here. At 55, one of the most important things this individual can do is not force withdrawals if they don't need them yet. Since they have a very robust pension, that gives them flexibility. They can very easily let their account balances continue to grow. They don't have to force taxable income if they don't need it yet. If they're still working at this stage of life, that's completely fine. They likely don't need to touch these accounts at all. At this stage, and based on these account balances, I would recommend leaning more towards the Roth and building up those contributions. And I don't want to say it's always that the Roth is the best choice, because if this individual has an income of say $200,000 or $300,000, yes, that tax deduction can be incredibly valuable, especially if you know going into retirement your tax bracket is going to be lower. But since they have such a robust traditional account balance, we're already very much looking at a future tax problem. So prioritizing the Roth can help to mitigate this down the road. Tax diversification really matters as you go into retirement, and this individual has laid the groundwork for this. They have a very robust Roth balance. So right now, let's focus on building that up more if this individual is continuing to work. As this individual goes into their 60s, this is where real planning happens, because these are the years before Social Security, before IRMAA surcharges, before required minimum distributions or RMDs actually hit. These years, especially the early and the mid-60s, can be the most incredibly valuable tax planning window that this individual will ever have. Let's say they step away from the workforce, they're not claiming Social Security yet. These can be the prime years for Roth conversions. I would be looking to convert traditional dollars to Roth dollars every single year intentionally and deliberately, since they have such a robust traditional traditional account. That means I would be trying to fill that 12% bracket or even the 22% bracket, depending on their overall health level, their longevity expectations, their overall asset levels, and just how much of the future tax risk we're trying to diffuse now. And I'm not saying convert everything, but I would convert enough. So they have their pension. Any additional spending level that they need, I would pull from the traditional account, and then I would convert strategically on top of that. Of course, it really does depend on their spending levels and how much room they have for conversions. Delaying Social Security can be a good move here because this strategy works best before Social Security starts. Once this individual starts Social Security, they're likely already in the situation where 85% of their benefits are already taxable. Remember, all of their income sources are going to stack together. Since they're single, they're in compressed tax bracket. And the more income sources we have and the higher we push that income, the harder it is to do Roth conversions because it becomes more expensive. When you delay Social Security, you preserve your lower income years, and this allows you to take money out of that traditional account in a controlled, manageable way. Here's why this matters even more for single filers. Single filers hit higher tax brackets much faster. Medicare IRMAA surcharges arrive at lower income levels, and when RMDs and Social Security stack on top of a pension, taxes can escalate quickly. So waiting and hoping your tax bracket will be lower is often a mistake, especially when you have such a robust traditional balance. Conversions in your 60s can reduce future RMDs. It can lower Medicare premium risk. It can shrink the tax footprint of Social Security later on, and it can dramatically increase your flexibility in your 70s and your 80s, so you're not forced to make such massive withdrawals. Here's what it really comes down to. Taking Social Security early reduces the number of low tax years you have to plan. If you're willing to delay when you take Social Security, this can preserve your low income years and help to keep you in those lower tax brackets and allow for inexpensive Roth conversions. For someone with a pension and a very robust traditional balance, that window is incredibly valuable. It could potentially reduce your lifetime taxes by tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. That traditional account can grow a lot over the next 10, 20, or 30 years. At this point, when you already have an $800,000 traditional account, investment growth alone is probably already increasing this balance by tens of thousands of dollars every single year. Maybe $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000 in a great market year. And that kind of growth is amazing, but within an account that you will eventually be forced to take distributions from, this will create a tax problem down the road, and it will give you less control if you don't do something about it now in a time in life, later in life, when you would likely want more control. When retirement planning is done well, retirement feels steady. Your pension covers the essentials. Social Security adds another layer of reliable income. And more important than anything, your traditional account and the draws from it feel manageable. They're not a source of stress and anxiety every single year. And your Roth account, that's your strategic tool. You know where your income is coming from, you know how much flexibility you have, and you have no feeling that you're being forced into decisions on someone else's timeline. And you know exactly why every single account exists in retirement. This is how you give yourself peace of mind long term. If you take anything away from this, let it be this phrase. The Roth account is not for spending early, it's for control later. And when you have a pension, control becomes even more important. So what are your thoughts on this strategy? I would love to hear. Is there anything you would add? Is there something you would do differently? Leave your thoughts down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Or at the very least, bling. Bling. We don't have bling. Not in this household, that's for sure. Now, the comment didn't explicitly mention a military. Let that go. No, it's Monday. Mondays, we do our best. Tuesdays, we do better. Does anyone else have that? Like, it takes a little bit for the week to get going. Try not to say things 17 times. Although it's kind of hard to remember what you said 17 minutes ago or 47 minutes ago. Some of these take a while to film.